Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's Performing Arts sector briefing for Post 16. Today's just to update you of what's been going on in terms of regulations and with the new government, and in terms of the level 3 reforms and level 2 reforms. There is space for a Q&A at the end, so hopefully we can get through the slides relatively quickly and have some time for some discussion at the end. Question. We have got Paul Webster, the wonderful subject advisor, here today as well, who will be trying to answer some of the questions in the chat box. But I do encourage you to try and let us get to the end of the slides before we ask the questions, so we're not Paul's not answering questions that are about to be answered by a slide imminently. Okay, we will crack on. This is the contents of today's session. This is what we're looking to get through. Some context about what's been going on, because we still get some questions, people who are unaware of what's been going on in terms of the reform and the DfE kind of regulations at the moment. Then we'll have some outcomes of the rapid review that the new government did. We have the current funding list for the next few years for performing arts qualifications from Pearson. A little bit of talk about considerations on planning curriculum, talk about the resource and support for the funding qualifications we have, discussion about quick overview of what's going on with level 2. And then we've got some useful links and some next steps and Q&A. So it was fairly self-explanatory, those last ones. So we'll start with the context. So this was the original level 3 reform timeline. The level 3 reform below policy was announced in terms of academic and technical pathways alongside T levels, which included a new qualification type called AAQs, which were academic-based vocational education to go alongside A levels, and technical qualifications which were aligned to occupational standards. And there was a schedule of defunding qualifications, starting with qualifications that had low or no registrations. Obviously, the following year, there was criteria published about how we would be able to develop these reform qualifications and what the context was for us as an awarding body. And there was certain subject areas that went into cycle 1. It's worth noting this point to get out of the way. Performing arts was in cycle 2. So when we mentioned cycle 1, that's just an overview of other qualifications as well. In 2023, there was further defunding announced, and we submitted qualifications for cycle 1 for approval. 2024 timeline was cycle 1's, we heard about the approval. And what happened, because of the general election, cycle 2, level 3 and level 2 was paused in June. So originally, the performing arts AAQs were part of cycle 2 and would have been submitted at the end of June. They were produced and ready, but with the general election, that was paused. In July, the new government called a rapid review to look at what was going on, with a focus on post-16 qualifications reform, level 3 and below, and to look at what the landscape was. And then they also announced the curriculum and assessment review in July. So the 2024-25 defunding was then reversed. So the qualifications that were originally going to be defunded for this academic year was reversed, and the appeals that were submitted in May, I believe, or they're supposed to be announced in May, were then announced in November, the outcome of those appeals. So that's a bit of content. So what was the rapid review? So the new government announced a focused post-16 qualification level 3 to consider whether funding should be moved from those qualifications and other qualifications that were due to be defunded in 2025. So this was a quick look about the qualifications that were originally scheduled to be defunded in 2025. So which ones that they have appeared on an overlap with T-level list, and it also included all qualifications at level 3 in cycle 1 subjects that are not approved for funding as an AAQ technical. The outcomes review were published in December. So what were the outcomes of the rapid review? As that man in the yellow shirt seems to want to know. So the first outcomes of the review, the first things we heard was about the way for appeals. So when we appealed certain qualifications that were on lists of apparently having T-level overlap, so we did communicate the outcomes. In terms of performing arts, it's particularly relevant for the National Foundation Diploma in Production Arts, was on that list as they considered having um, overlap with the T level. We appealed that decision and created an evidence case as to why that was not the case, and we were successful in our appeal. So that was removed from the defunding list in November and will continue to be funding further on. The key outcomes of the rapid review were AAQs and technical qualifications in Cycle 1 subjects could continue to be first teach for September 2025. All RQF Nationals qualifications in those sectors remain defunded and replaced with the new AAQs and technicals. This is quite an important one coming up. There was a rule in the original kind of parameters set by the government was that you could only have one AAQ and two A levels in a study program. You couldn't have two AAQs, which are the new versions of the vocational qualifications. That has been scrapped and centres convert to choosing study programs that are right for their learners. And then each sector's funding was reviewed independently and had a bespoke funding outcome, hence why we are running bespoke sessions about this for each sector rather than one general one, because there's very different lays of lands for everyone. And in level 2, cycle 1 will continue to be first teach 2025. Just as a note, cycle 1 sectors include applied science, construction, earners, engineering, health and social care and IT. Performing arts is a cycle 2 qualification in terms of when we talk about this stuff. So what you really want to know is the funding list for performing arts, which is updated recently. So we can see now all current performing arts funded qualifications are now funded up to the academic year 26-27 at least. That's what's been announced so far. Originally we were looking at a defunding date of next year, September 26. Sorry, 25 this year. It's all going around, but we now have a kind of more steady ground to work on that. You have got another couple of academic years of funding for those qualifications. You do not have to panic about what's necessarily coming next. So, but what will happen from 26 onwards, and will there be further reform of qualifications? This is the statement from the DfE that they've provided in their FAQs. I think it's important, as this is a DfE decision, to use their words exactly. They've said that we've announced that will invite all organisations to submit further new level 3 qualifications in spring in health and science, construction, digital and education early years, and in the care service route. This will continue the process of reforming these routes while the curriculum and assessment review looks at the curriculum more broadly and will allow more newly reformed qualifications to be available for first teaching in September 26. We will provide more information and timetable for this process as soon as we can in the new year. With regards to the level 3 reform of other level 3 qualifications and level 2 and below qualification, we will provide more information in due course. So we are back into a waiting position to see what exactly comes out of what they announce and whether there's any change to the list of qualifications that can be submitted, if there's any change to the parameters under which qualifications should be submitted. We have produced qualifications, but rather than it originally was first teaching September 26 for new performing arts qualifications, obviously we know now that you can continue teaching what you are currently teaching into September 2026. And then we'll look at what happens in due course. So in terms of curriculum planning, which is perhaps going a bit further, looking more into when you get into 2026, obviously there's no change to curriculum for 25-26 or 26-27, so you can continue planning your programs with confidence. But as you await the outcomes of the next stage review, you may want to consider how you register learners who top up to other sizes or learners who need to fall back to smaller qualifications, because when new qualifications potentially come in 2027, that's where you may have to have some consideration of those learners and how you use them on programme. So there is guidance that we've put on in the links here, where these slides can be shared. Obviously, lots of centres use a model registering learners on a 1-year programme in the second year, topping up learners to larger qualification. That's quite a common thing to be done in post-16 education, where the last funding date is before learners could certificates and can only transfer learners. So and it's knowing the difference between a top up and a transfer, I think, is important for you when you get into kind of your sort of last year on programs. A top up fee is charged when learners completed a qualification and received a certificate and wants to extend it to a larger qualification from the same specification. Learner retains the same registration number allocated to the original program registration. So you don't re-register them to the new program. It becomes a top up. A transfer is when a learner transfers their registration from one to another before they have certificate for the original qualification, and there's no additional fee. So the difference between a top up and a transfer is obviously if you're doing something like a foundation diploma, and as they go into the second year, they're going to go to the extended diploma, for example. A top up would be that they finish the foundation diploma, they're certificated on the foundation diploma, and then you decide to top them up onto the extended diploma. A transfer would be before the end of the foundation diploma, you transfer them over to the extended diploma before they certificate. Obviously, that's I'm sure you all know this anyway, but it's worth knowing the difference between those two models before we get into sort of academic year 27, 28, and how that will affect the learners that start in the academic year 26, 27. Just to kind of keep you abreast of that. It's, forward planning will make it easier. So in terms of training support that Pearson have, obviously we have support modules. There are a large range of teaching and learning support. We have excellent subject advisors who are always willing to help and answer your questions throughout the year, and you can sign up for their updates, which I think is a very good idea to do, to get the updates into your inbox so you hear about things going on that are sector specific. There's a whole web page on delivering BTEC, and we have things like Results Plus, which is to help an analysis tool for teachers. It's included as part of your qualification fees. Other examples of resource support on our qualification pages. If you go to the course materials tab, there are delivery guides, an example assignment brief. We also have sample mark, learner work, and centre standardisation material. There's recordings of past training events, and there's examiners reports as well, which will enable you to help you kind of understand what you should be doing and what's been done in previous years. Also, there is a company called Audition Ready, which has an app which has lots of different resources for the performing arts. There is a discount for BTEC learners available for those who want to sign up for that app that we have sent out in some communications. So it's worth noting. They're a separate company from Pearson, but we have negotiated with them for a discount for BTEC learners on that resource. A quick chat about level 2. So the post-16 level 2 reform rollout has been paused. So they were originally going to roll out over 3 cycles that they're going to revisit later in 2025, which seems a recurring theme of their announcements. The only qualifications at level 2 that will have funding removed in 25, 26 are those where the AO has told the DfE they would be directly replaced by reformed qualifications in cycle 1. All other qualifications remain funded. So in terms of level 2, much like level 3, it will be kind of business as usual for the next couple of years. As you can see, performing and production arts is in academic curriculum group 7, which is part of cycle 3. So you're not looking at anything until first teach 27 at the moment. That was the original plan. Obviously, things may change as they revise this. The timelines may shift, but we will keep you updated as soon as we have any more information on that. To remind you what the post-16 level 2 offer is, there is still qualifications in BTEC First of all in Performing Arts, and there's a BTEC level 2 in Performing and Production Arts Industry Skills, which is a suite and has different sizes which do nest. So it's helpful for you if you want to plan study programs for learners with different size qualifications, because they may be resitting different stuff. It's not letting me move forward. And there we go. I have attached some useful links because there's a lot of information to take in, and obviously this is an overview. So I've got the Pearson links. There's the updated level 3 funding guide, which you saw a screenshot from earlier, and there's a link to level 3 reforms page. And I've also put in some links to the DfE appropriate site. So whereas links to the outcome of the review of qualifications and reform, qualifications that have funding extended, their FAQs and their qualifications reform page. Obviously, like all good websites, they should be updated frequently, and often they're updated before they even inform everyone else. So it's good to kind of have those bookmarked as you can visit them as you wish if you want to find any more information out from the horse's mouth. In terms of next steps, so as we said, they've pulled cycle 2 submission for level 2 and 3. The submission of qualifications for the first teacher will be confirmed hopefully later this year. So that's when we'll know when we're allowed to submit the qualifications we've already developed. So we did have them developed last year for submission in terms of the level 3 qualifications. Once we know when we can submit these qualifications, we'll know, and once they're submitted for approval, we will then publish them on our website for you to get your heads around them as we wait for approval. They have opened a new cycle 2 for additional titles. That's also to be confirmed. For all other sectors, qualifications that need to retain long-term will be reformed and informed by the curriculum and assessment review. So that's the other review that's going on in the background of the review. But like I've said the word review quite a lot, but that's not my fault, I promise. So I'd like to open up now to any questions you may have.
And we have
About
some questions in the
yes.
chat. The first one is from Louise. Hello, Louise. And it's about AAQs, not in performing arts, but actually those that start in 2025, and whether there's any plans to run larger size qualifications in the future. And I can answer this. In terms of the ones for 25, it may be that we're looking into it. So, for example, in sport, we're looking into it, and it's something that is kind of being discussed at the moment. For in some subjects, the AAQs were designed to be a single 360 GLH qualification to be taken alongside the A levels, and then the original plan was that any larger sizes would be covered by a T level. So at the moment, it's kind of a sector by sector decision and things being worked out. So that's as much as we can say on that one, Louise. I don't know whether there's anything else you want to add to that, Tom. Is that?
I think that's the general answer is it's a sector by sector decision, but there are
Yeah.
still rules in play of about what we are allowed to submit. So it's not just in our hands to say we would like to submit a large size. If they decide that they are not going to accept a large AAQ in a certain subject, then we don't have the funding requirements to be able to
Yeah.
submit. So it is a case of just keeping up to date with all the different sectors as we see what happens with the curriculum assessment review. May change some things. There may be new avenues for us to explore, but it's very much a waiting game, and keep an eye on each sector as it comes.
Lovely, thank you. Louise has also asked if we are going to share the PowerPoint so that they can share it with other staff in the centre. Are we sharing just the PowerPoint? Do you think we may share the recording as well, Tom?
I believe the recording gets shared as well as the normal practice and along with the PowerPoint as well. Happy to share the PowerPoint
Lovely.
as well. Put loads of links in it for that reason.
I think, yeah, exactly, yeah, and maybe we could make that available on the website as well, and can share it on some other channels. That'd be great. Marie has asked about a situation where they're currently offering the extended certificate in performing arts, and for the first time, we've been asked by a GCSE student if we can offer a BTEC in production arts alongside performing arts, and whether this is possible, and which course would best sit alongside the course they already offer. And I suppose from the qualifications that we have, the best level 3 option would be the foundation diploma in production arts practice. We don't offer, well, we offer the extended diploma size as well, but we don't offer any other level 3 production arts qualifications. So that might be something you want to investigate, Marie. And if you want any further guidance on that course, then you can chat to myself or Tom. We can talk you through the structure of it and how it works. And so yeah, if you want to do that, we can book an appointment and go through it. I think hopefully that's okay. And it looks like Jenny, you're also in a similar situation, which is interesting. So if the students doing GCSE drama at the moment, and then this is something that they want to do when they go into year 12, it sounds like it. So yeah, if you also want to book an appointment with me, you can do, and we can get Tom along as well. Can have a chat about it. Kerry, hello Kerry. You teach the extended certificate in performing arts, and you're told by your centre QA that there will be an update to the specification. Is this just the reform or anything else happening before then? And if so, when will this new specification be released? There's no other changes happening, are there, Tom, before we get to the new one?
No, not that I've been informed of, and I should be informed if there would be.
You'd like to think.
Maybe your QA is talking about the reforms that were imminent. So and we would put
Mm.
something out if there's going to be a change to a specification. But yeah, it's
The
business.
moment it's staying as it is, yeah. So I think that's it for the questions in the chat.
Are there any other questions, or anyone, if you want to come off mute, or pop any other questions in the chat? No. So now I have put some contacts for Paul there. If you do need, as the slides will be shared, that is obviously available on the website as well. And a link to the Facebook page of sharing best practice. We will
It
share the
looks like
recording as soon as
everybody's
possible.
happy, just like copies of the slides. So brilliant. Yeah, we can send those through to you. If you signed up to my newsletter, by the way, there was a new one that came out yesterday, and we've got some new work for units 3 and 5 on the nationals. We've got some podcasts, and we'll be releasing some further examples of work for those units in the next week or so. But if you do need any further information, if you want to book an appointment to have a chat with us, then please get in touch using those details.
Please have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us.